Leana here, Firefly Soul Art. Welcome to another video. First of all, apologies for that there was no video last week Sunday. The reason for that is that I was busy doing some housekeeping on my video channel the whole of last week. When you go to my main channel, you will see that there are redecoration done, or interior decoration, visual decoration, where I've changed thumbnails to be more uniform and so forth. So there was a lot of changes that I did to make my YouTube channel look visually pleasing and also easier to find certain videos if you are more interested in a certain section, for example either studio vlog or how to, etc. And then this past week, you will remember that I told you about creative blocks and creative resistance, and then that I was also busy sorting out some form of routine or ritual habits for myself that I start off with in the morning. And what was really interesting from all of this, so it all started with a creative resistance, creative block, which then flow into the habits, routine, etc. And then with further investigation this past week, it was like a whole nother door opened up almost to Narnia world. Because then I realized how things are all interconnected, because from this creative block and the routine, that all led me to flow state. Now, flow state is that place where we all want to be when we create. It's not always possible, it does not always occur. A lot of the times, I suppose some artists will refer to it as your muse that showed up with inspiration. Now, flow state is that area where, or that time section where you are so consumed with what you are busy with, and you're so excited about it, and there's no criticism, there's no questioning, and everything is just flowing. There's no judgment, nothing. You lose total track of time. Time just does not exist in flow state. And then from flow state, I discovered brainwaves, how brainwaves, different brainwaves, are actually interlinked with flow state. Now, you get different brainwaves, alpha, beta, delta, etc. And from further investigation into all of this, the brainwave for flow state is alpha brainwaves. Now, I don't know if you have ever heard of binaural beats. I've been listening to binaural beats on YouTube for probably about 10 years. And binaural beats are all on different wavelengths. And it affects a certain area of your brain. And how alpha waves have a positive impact on flow state, because it vibrates, if I can put it like that, on a certain hertz. Alpha waves are between 8 and 12, or is it 8 and 16 hertz? I'm talking under correction now, but it starts at 8. And that is another way of getting you into flow state, is by listening to binaural beats with alpha waves. Then after all of that, I came to creative meditation, and how important meditation actually is to get you into flow state. I haven't been doing any of my rituals or habits this past 2 weeks because I've been too busy with research and housekeeping on YouTube and so forth. Meditation is part of my new routine that I've jotted down. And this week I found out why routine and habits are such an important role for artists. So with regards to routines and habits, and forming them, you will start a routine, and intention is the difference between the two. And as you go on, that starts becoming a habit, something you do every single day. Now, it's totally the opposite of creativity, but it actually plays such an important role in creativity, because when you get this whole routine or habits that you start every day, you will start the same routine every single day, and you will stick to that routine, and you won't go off that routine. And the reason for that is that it eventually becomes a habit that you just do automatically. You are not going to allocate a certain time period to a specific habit. All you do is you jot them down from as you get up, the routine that you're going to follow, which will eventually turn into habits like mentioned before. And what that actually does in the mornings is that it frees up your brain, so that when it's become a habit, you know already, okay, you get up, this is next, that's next. So you're not thinking, okay, what shall I do now? How shall I do it? What type of tea am I going to drink? You take all of those more intricate things out of the equation. And also a good way is to prepare the night before. Okay, that's the tea I'm going to drink tomorrow, etc., etc., etc. So when you wake up in the morning, you just start your whole routine without even thinking about it. And by the time you get to your last bits in your routine, you are in your studio or your creative space without actually realizing how you got there. It just happened automatically. So you are saving brain power for more important things, and not for mundane little decisions that can actually happen automatically. I hope it all makes sense. But I really thought this week that it was like a real aha for me when I realized how all of these bits and pieces actually fit together. I'm going to show you some updates that I did in the studio. Remember, I also talked about ergonomics, which is flow in the studio. In one of my previous videos, I will put up a link for you, how to store your pencils. Now, I had these big containers, and I've changed that around. They are more compact, they stacked higher, but it gives me more space to work, which is actually more ideal. And also because my studio table is so small, I can't have these big trays basically standing on my studio. So I will just remove one of those little A5 size trays, and that's much easier. Plant wise, some of my plants didn't make it, I'm afraid. However, I'm absolutely so stoked because my Christmas cactus, all the bits and pieces that I planted, they are getting bigger and bigger and making extra pieces, which is really super. And then the Wandering Jew, I think I've got one still in potting soil, but all the others and new bits and pieces that I got, I'm actually just leaving in water. So it's like a hydroponic indoor garden, I suppose, if you can put it like that. Like this one, for example, I've got some beautiful shells in the bottom. The shells have been washed and rinsed, etc., so there's no salty residue. And this is the Wandering Jew that I mentioned, and I think the shells actually make quite a nice addition, makes it a little bit more creative. So the way you work with hydroponic indoor plants, they remain in water. Once a week you will throw out all of this water. I will chuck it in a bucket, and I will use that to water my small garden outside. But because there are no nutrients in water as such for plants, it needs something additional. So what I did is I got some NutriFeed, which is a general balanced plant food, a variety. You get all different ones. So because I've got different plants, I needed to get this one, which is like multi-plant this is a hydroponic nutrient. So for example, I change the water in my hydroponic plants once a week, say Wednesday. Then on Tuesday, I will mix this in like 5 liters of water. It's only 10 grams of this goes in 5 liters of water. And you stir it thoroughly and you leave it overnight so that all the bits that needs to dissolve will dissolve. The next morning you'll see a little bit of sediment, but I just shake up the bottle again, and then I empty these ones, all the water out in a bucket, and I will fill it up with that water that I mixed the day before, which has got the NutriFeed in it. I'm looking forward to see what effect the NutriFeed will have on my indoor plants that I'm growing hydroponically. So I'm going to investigate some more in hydroponic plants, indoor plants, because I would love to have some more plants just in water.